What is going on, you guys? Dr. Tiger Trades here, back to you with another trade recap video. Unfortunately, today I did take a stupid loss, and I'm going to guide you through why that happened, how that happened, and what I did well, things I can improve on for the future, all of that jazz. So I'm going to first start on the daily time frame. So I'm just going to kind of provide you with what my bias was going into market open. I originally was bullish going into market open for the main reasons that I've been bullish for the past few days. We've inversed this daily bullish gap where we were kind of overextended bullishly, but we were disrespecting bearish and we were respecting bullish right here on the daily, right? Some draws higher for me were this untapped daily gap right here. I wanted to see that get hit, this daily bearish gap. There were some other draws as well. There was like an unfilled 4-hour as well to the upside, right? I don't know where. I think right here, this unfilled 4-hour. I was interested in seeing that taken. So overall, I was pretty bullish going into market open. Again, let me just identify on the 4-hour as well. We had this 4-hour gap from Sunday night as well. Today is Monday. So from Sunday night, we had this 4-hour gap. We saw a very nice respect out of it. It made total sense that we would want to be bullish going into today's session. And ideally going into today's session, what I wanted to see was this low get taken, these lows get taken potentially, and then a reversal higher. So, or actually this was from last week. So maybe not this low taken, but we did end up taking it. But you know, this was just 4-hour bullish order flow. On the 1-hour, then I wanted to mark out session liquidity. So we did have London high up here that got swept, I believe, pre-market. And we also had London low marked by this level and Asia low marked by this level. So both of those lows I was interested in seeing taken out before reversing to the upside. Obviously, that did not happen, and I'm just going to go through how I kind of married my bias. That was really the main issue for today. Today is a lesson where I married my bias, and it ultimately caused me to lose. I was assessing my bias, but it ultimately, I didn't make the best informed decision. So if you stick around to the end, I'm going to review trades that I missed. I would say there were two main trade opportunities that I could have potentially taken, but there's mainly one that I missed. So this is the hourly. On the 15-minute, I'm just trying to see if we were, before market open, we were trading into any gaps. We did have this 15-minute gap available. It's kind of a small one, but still a 15-minute gap nonetheless. So we had this 15-minute gap. Ideally off open, I wanted to see it respected. Obviously, you can see that did not happen. Same thing on the 5-minute. On the 5-minute, what you can actually see is that this 5-minute bullish gap ended up getting disrespected pre-market. So that was interesting to me. Off open, we basically swept out this sell side right here. We then swept out this buy side right here. And we didn't hit any of my draws higher. We didn't hit the daily gap. We didn't hit any draws higher. But instead, we started to go lower. I'm going to highlight more as well. Something I want to say is that we did have a bearish SMT at the time that the market was opening, because we have this 820 high, which was right here, 820 high. NQ swept it out, whereas ES did not. And ES was dumping at around market open, right? Market open on NQ, we were kind of just in this range area. But on ES, we had already swept out London and Asia low. This is kind of where both of those lows were marked out on ES. And by 9:36, we had already taken out those lows. So that is the main number one reason why I was not interested in, or why I was hesitating to enter short on NQ, because ES was already all the way down here. So it was possible that we formed a bullish SMT there. And that was something that I was hesitating on. However, there was still a valid trade to take after reconsidering, and I'm going to highlight that here. So on NQ, we have this 3-minute break of structure to these lows, as well as a 3-minute inversion gap right here. I did not enter short towards London low and Asia low off of this, And the main reason was because the RR would have been cooked. My stop would have been above the inversion high, which is this body, and the TP would have been probably Asia low for a 1-to-1. That's just kind of a chopped trade, in my opinion, pretty chopped. And instead, what my mentor ended up taking, as well as what I think was the best setup for today, was we had this retracement after we made the 3-minute inversion. And then, so we made the 3-minute inversion, we retrace, and then we had a 1-minute inversion confirmation candle right here. This was a nice bearish candle closure. You could have entered right there with the stop above the 1-minute inversion, which was right here. And the TP would have been Asia low for a 1.5R trade. That would have been a great trade to take. And I think that this 3-minute inversion that was made off the open, that really was important for me to switch my bias. However, once it did get inversed, I did not switch my bias. I think I just was so tunnel visioned on longs because we had already swept all the main lows on ES and NQ by these points. And so I was thinking, okay, like we're surely going to be going up at some point. As a reversal trader, that's kind of what what my mind is like right now. But at another point of reassessment of bias would have been the 10 a.m. close, because that would have been where the 1 hour and 4 hour closed. And we see that in this case, the 1 hour ended up closing through both of these 1 hour gaps at 10 a.m., as well as in a very huge break of structure to the downside on the 1 hour at 10 a.m. And on the 4 hour, we also broke structure to the downside, as well as closed through this 4 hour gap as well. So all of those things really needed for me to change my bias to bearish. And I was still on the charts after 10 a.m. So I was kind of like, okay, let's try and catch a trade. But again, like I said, I was mainly interested in longs, just because I still feel conviction that we're going to go higher at some point, but maybe just not right now. Today's price action just wanted to sweep out all that low resistance liquidity on the higher time frame. But anyway, as I saw that we had all these sweeps, right? We swept London low, Asia low, we were chopping, right? And then we eventually get this break lower. And there were some other higher time frame sell side down here, but it started to look like we were going to get a reversal up at like between 10:30, like around 10:30-ish. Like we started to get these candles up. And this was the highest time frame inversion on MMQ was this 3-minute. Now, this also happened to break structure on the 3-minute to these lows. But something that I will say is that I semi-broke my rules, because at the time we were trading inside this 5-minute inversion, or this 5-minute bearish gap. And I knew that if we were going to be bearish, then we would respect this gap. And if we were going to potentially reverse to and allow my trade to play out on this, at this point, then this 5-minute would need to be disrespected. And I entered at this 3-minute inversion, which was right here. I entered my trade right here because, again, we swept all those lows. We had a 3-minute inversion and break of structure, and we had opposing liquidity, and we were in a discount of this current range, right? Like if you want a long, you're going to take it in a discount. So I entered and I put my stop at, I believe it was equilibrium of this range. I wanted to just target equilibrium of this range, and that was around a 1.3R. So yeah, it was slightly lower, like right here. So around a 1.3, 1.25R, and my break even, I believe, was, let me see if it was on the 1 minute. It didn't end up mattering. I think it was this high right here, this swing high. That was my break even. But obviously, as you can see, this did not play out. And I think the main reason this trade did not play out was because the 5-minute was still at play. And it was really important that I see the 5-minute get disrespected. And it did not happen. So I think for the future, it's really important that I respect the 5-minute. That, if the 5-minute bearish gap is there, I can't just enter long if I don't have proof that it's going to be disrespected. So there was no proof, and I entered without proof, and I am paying the price. So I got stopped out. Lost $500 per account. So on 4XFAs, this is just on my top step, but I also entered on my alphas as well. And there was one other trade there, like something I want to say, something I journaled as well, is that this also could have been a potentially valid point to short as well. I mean, I know this was later on in the session, but we still had this sell side down here that was not taken. Let me just mark it out. I don't remember what it was. I think it was this low, this big wick lower that I was interested in. It was this low, and we had not taken it on NQ at this point. And so I was interested, like if I was interested in shorts, which, you know, if I had changed my bias, then I would have been, then this would have been a really nice place to enter because we had a nice retracement. And on the 2 minute, we had this nice 2 minute inversion and breakup structure to these lows with this candle. So if I entered off this candle, obviously hindsight is, you know, is potentially influencing me to say this, but if we were to have entered here and have my stop above the inversion high and my TP at this low that I've marked, then this probably would have been a successful trade. It was almost a 2-to-1 RR. So had I listened to myself and my conditions to switch my bias, then the loss that I would have had today would have been avoidable, right? I was contemplating not taking a trade at all today, but once I saw this leg up, I was just like, you know what? Let's send it. I think that for the future, it's just important that I constantly evaluate my bias and constantly evaluate confluences as well, and the importance of respecting, executing off of them, right? I have to trade like my family's life depends on it, and trading like my family's life depends on it would mean that I would look at this 5 minute and weigh it very heavily. Okay. So that is my trade recap for the day. I hope that this was somewhat logical. I hope this better informs my approach to trading this week as well as yours. And let's avoid some dumb losses this week. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.